All right. We are live. We are recording. So, hope you guys are having a great day so far. Another podcast episode coming at you today. This one, well, actually, let me first off say, really loving this setup. Also, shifting my desk around, and I know I talk about my setup all the time, but shifted it around to where it is so much easier for me to like transition from filming a podcast to then turning to the side and doing work on my computer. Like, it's crazy because if you were to watch the video like on YouTube or me recording this live, you wouldn't even be able to know that my computer is literally like 2 feet away from me to the side. But just loving it. Anyways, today we're going to talk about how long it will take for you to achieve your dream body, because I get this question actually a lot of like, how long is it going to take for me to get results, to get the body I want? And it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I actually made a post on Instagram talking about this. And let me just go ahead and read the post here. But the post is unpopular truth. The transformation you're looking for likely takes 1 to 2 years to achieve instead of 6 months. And even if it only takes you 6 months to achieve your transformation, it'll likely take you 1 to 2 years of conscious effort to continue to build those habits and keep those habits so they become part of your lifestyle that's unshakable. And it may sound overwhelming to think about this long timeline of it, like where you are now, thinking it's going to be 1 to 2 years until I actually feel comfortable. But once you get there, it will be all worth it. And I made this post because there's so many transformations online, so many transformations that you see on social media, in magazines, if people even read magazines anymore. I would say mostly social media and online. But there's so many transformations that you see. And a lot of them can be like really dramatic transformations that look like, whoa, like this person achieved this in 16 weeks or 12 weeks and this long. And the sad truth is that a lot of these transformations, especially from these bigger companies, are likely just BS. And a lot of them are lying to you. Or a lot of these transformations are done by sometimes like these fitness influencers who they were really into fitness maybe in their early college years or maybe even high school and built a decent amount of muscle underneath. And then maybe for whatever reason, something happened in their life or they changed their lifestyle and they ended up gaining weight back after that and feeling like they got out of shape and feeling like, oh, I gained a bunch of body fat from this experience or this period of my life. And then they decide, you know what, I'm going to start doing this diet. I'm going to start tracking my calories, tracking my macros, whatever it is, lifting weights now. Then they see this huge transformation in like 4 months. But the thing is that the bulk of that transformation, which was the muscle that they built beforehand, was built through probably multiple years in high school doing high school sports or even in early years of college of just going to the gym and getting in shape. And that time period where they gained a lot of weight back, like they didn't lose all that muscle. They still kept a lot of that muscle. And even if they did lose some of that muscle, once you build muscle initially, like let's say if you worked out really hard and in college and built a lot of muscle, even if you lose it, in like once you graduate college the next 3 or 4 years, your body actually gains it back very quickly. So like that whole entire transformation of gaining that muscle back, it was made so much easier because they had the muscle in the first place. And that whole transformation of all this fat loss they've lost and wow, this person now has like chiseled abs or chiseled glutes or whatever, like a lot of that was probably done beforehand, before they actually started their fat loss phase. Or, a lot of these fitness influencers, they purposely go on bulks, like they purposely gain weight. They purposely eat in a calorie surplus to gain a bunch of weight. And then you see this side by side of this woman or this girl. And now all of a sudden, just 12 weeks later, like, you start to see, like I said, her obliques popping through, the muscle tone in her arms or whatever. But it's like she spent probably 6 months, 8 months, maybe even longer than that, a year or 2 years building muscle leading up to that point. And that's what's really achieving that tone look, that shaped look, that sculpted look that you're seeing. It's not just the fat loss that happened over the past 12 weeks. It's the past 1 to 2 years before then of her lifting weights, eating more food, gaining weight along the way while also gaining some muscle along the way. that's what's really creating a huge bulk of that transformation. It's not just that, 12-week cut. Like if I go into a muscle building phase for the next year and spend a whole year building muscle, maybe gaining a little bit of body fat along the way because I'm eating more food and everything, higher than my maintenance calories. And then I decide to go on a quick 8-week cut. And I really put the pedal to the floor when it comes to my fat loss phase, do it maybe a little bit more on the extreme side, lose a lot of body fat at once. And I can be like, look at this 8-week difference. But really, so much of that muscle that is actually showing was built beforehand. And people don't get this. And people come into, maybe they go into a certain program, or even, I've had this conversation even with some of my clients where they've come into my program, my one-on-one program. And with my one-on-one program, there is a 6-month minimum commitment. A lot of my clients stay longer because, it just takes longer to achieve goals, which is kind of like the whole point of this podcast, right? But a lot of my clients stay longer because of that, or because they just like working together, which, I'm really thankful for, because I like building long-term relationships with my clients too. Like we can achieve so much more in a year's time or a year and a half versus just 6 months. But sometimes, when they're new to all this, and they don't really know a whole lot about what sustainable body composition change looks like, they'll come into the program and they're like, okay, I have 6 months to lose 20 pounds and to get this perfect physique that I have, in my head as my dream physique. And then I also, along the way, not only have to achieve that dream physique and losing 20 pounds, but I have to learn everything I need to learn about nutrition. I have to get all of these habits as far as working out, going on walks, and all this stuff. I have to ingrain them into my lifestyle so they're permanent in just 6 months, when maybe before you joined the program, you weren't doing any of that at all. You have to learn everything regarding nutrition, of how to balance eating out, of how to have a balanced plate, and how to balance this situation and that situation, and learn the skill of how to do it appropriately so you don't go backwards in progress. And you have to learn all that in a 6-month period too. Not to mention, there's so many other aspects when it comes to working out, like how to actually push yourself in the gym. That's a skill that you have to learn. Your form, using good form, slow, controlled tempo, full range of motion. That is a skill that you have to learn. Learning how your body moves. If you've never really worked out consistently, then all of a sudden you start a program, it's going to take some time to learn how to do a lunge properly or do a squat properly. And there's so many skills to learn, as well as so much physical result to achieve. If your goal is 20 pounds in 6 months, that you're trying to cram everything into this small window and think, okay, after the 6 months, wipe my hands off and I'm done. And the real reality is that it's not impossible for that to happen in 6 months, but it's very unlikely. And that is why so many people fail and gain the weight back long term, is because they think, oh, this program length is 4 months, or this minimum commitment is 6 months for this. And they think that's what it takes. But that's not what it takes. That's just an arbitrary deadline or number of weeks or number of months that whoever is selling this is setting, because they have to set something, right? They can't just say, oh, my minimum commitment is a day. I guess you can, and that just keep going forward. But it has to be some kind of arbitrary deadline for these types of things if you're going to work with a coach, but you need to keep going longer, like I said, most of my clients stay with me for a year and a half, sometimes even 2 years. And it's even after a year and a half of working with clients, there's still so much for them to learn regarding nutrition and working out and training and stuff. And it's not a knock on them. It's not oh my gosh, you're taking so long to learn this stuff, but there's just so much information out there and there's so many things to learn. Now there's obviously the basics that we start with and the simple things that we can do to push progress forward. But then there are more advanced things that we can dive into as you keep going, that overall make you a more skilled lifter, that make you a more skilled quote unquote dieter. Didn't want to use that term because I don't want you to think you're dieting all the time, but it's more skilled quote unquote eater, I guess, as far as making good nutrition choices when it comes to maintaining your weight, and all this stuff. And it's I started my research regarding nutrition, exercise, working out, changing your body composition. I mean, I was looking into this stuff in middle school because I just was so intrigued with it. But when I really started to like dive into it was like 2013-ish. So I've been doing this for 10, 11 years. And even now, there's still more that I'm learning all the time. And to think that like you can hire a coach or join a program, even if they're the best coach in the world, and you're going to be able to learn everything that they know in just 6 months while also having to do the thing and do the task to lose the weight, right? It'd be one thing if like, hey, we're not even going to focus on fat loss or weight loss. You're just going to go through this like really heavy course and learn everything first. Even that would take longer than 6 months, but learning it while also implementing it and losing the weight is definitely going to take more than 6 months. And then once you, like, let's say if you even lost the 20 pounds in 6 months, because, 20 pounds in 6 months is, it's not an unrealistic amount of weight to lose, but for those habits to actually be ingrained and stuck, it's going to take longer than 6 months, in my opinion. I know there's this idea of like, oh, it takes 21 days or 3 weeks to build a habit. I call bullshit on that. It takes a lot longer to truly build these habits so they stick. And you also want the guidance and the help to build these habits and keep these habits through all seasons of life too. Like when it comes to the holidays in the winter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? Like you want help and guidance in navigating those areas. The new year, when everyone's doing these hardcore diets, like you want guidance during the new year in a fat loss phase, because if you don't have that guidance and you're very new to this, it's very easy to fall into the trap of wanting to do something extreme because your friends from work are doing it. Even when we, go through like Valentine's Day, anniversaries, birthday celebrations, the summer, 4th of July, barbecues, vacations, all of this, like being in some kind of coaching container that is actually a good coaching container that teaches you how to lose the weight the right way and everything for at least a year is so beneficial, because you go through all those seasons in a yearly calendar. But also doing it for longer, even than a year, is super beneficial because you go through different seasons of your life as well. Like you might go through a period where everything's good, stress is free, in your life, or stress is gone. And then there might be periods where you're dealing with a lot more emotional stress and maybe depression and anxiety, and you need help and guidance and support to navigate those. Like I think back to between the years like 2021, 2022, and 2020, wrong years. I think between the years 2019, 2020, and 2021. 2019, my mom passed away. 2020, COVID obviously was a shit show for everybody. 2021, my dad passed away. That like 2 to 2.5 year window of when my mom passed away, my dad passed away, like that was a rough time in like my life, my wife's life, just because obviously, we were going through that together and stuff, my family's life. That was a pretty, hard time to get through. And there were different challenges that came along with that time period versus, knock on wood, the past like 2 years, like 2022, 2023, 2024, like these have been great years for me, my business, for my wife, for our marriage. We had a son, got Aiden, love him to death, and got a new house, right, that we love, and just so many really good things happening right now. And there's different challenges in place now versus what they were 2 years ago. And it's like having that support through those periods of life is so beneficial, because you might think you have a habit down because you're able to stick with it for 3 months, but then, God forbid, family member passes away, or you end up getting a divorce, or your relationship ends, or your dog dies, or something pops up, and then all of a sudden you realize, wow, that wasn't really that stable of a habit in my life to begin with, and I actually did need more time developing that habit. And I'm using a lot of this terminology of like having a coach for longer, but it doesn't even have to be having a coach. It could just be like doing the thing, like going on this journey on your own and going to the gym consistently and watching your nutrition consistently, tracking your food consistently. Like you might do this for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, lose 20 pounds, think, oh, I'm good to go. I'm done with all these behaviors. But like I said in that original post that I made that I quoted, it might take you just 6 months to achieve your result, but it's going to take you 1 to 2 years of consistently battling that temptation, probably of getting out of these habits. It's going to take 1 to 2 years of sticking to those habits, regardless of those temptations, to actually get them to stick and be like, this is actually who I am now. This is actually my life now. It isn't just something I do, it's who I am. And that occurs after doing these things for a year, 2 years, longer. And whether it's on your own doing it for that long, or, with a coach doing it for that long. That's why, like I said, I really encourage you, if you are working with a coach and they are a good coach and you're getting good results, don't pull the trigger and stop coaching with them too early. Stick with them for at least a year, if not longer. So these habits are like so easy for you to stick to, and you are 150% confident that you're going to succeed, like without them, on your own, without any support, without any accountability. Like getting to a point where you're thinking about stopping a program or stopping coaching when you're like, I think I'll be okay on my own, but you're not 100% sure. I always lean towards just keep going for a little bit longer. Keep going until 100% you're going to be okay. If you have the means to do so, because it's just so beneficial to really beat the crap out of these habits into your life for a longer period of time versus pulling the trigger too early and then running into a situation where these habits fall off and then you gain the weight back. So I know I'm talking a lot about ingraining habits and maybe not necessarily of how long it's going to take you to achieve the result, but the result isn't just the result. The result isn't just losing the 20 pounds. The result is losing the 20 pounds, having these habits ingrained in your life, and actually being able to keep it off for good, right? Nobody who ever joined my one-on-one coaching program told me, I want to lose 20 pounds in 6 months, and I don't care if I gain it back. Nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever told me I want to lose 20 pounds in 6 months, and I don't care if I stick with these habits afterwards. Nobody has ever said that to me in my entire life. They all tell me, I want to lose, this amount of weight, or I want to, get this body composition. And I would love to do it in this time frame if possible. But the most important part is I really want to change my habits, change my lifestyle, and be healthy, for good. And this be the last time I have to pursue this big weight loss goal because I didn't gain it back afterwards. That's what you want. At least I'm guessing. And so in order to achieve that, right, not just the physical result, but the mental, emotional, psychological result with that, it's going to take more time than just 6 months likely. And that's okay. It's going to take longer. For me to get to the spot where I'm at, where I feel really good about my nutrition, I feel really good about my just mindset regarding all this stuff. I feel really good about being able to actively change my body composition whenever I want. It's taken me years to get to this point. And the fitness influencer that you're looking at who achieved that certain result likely took years to get there too. So don't try to rush the process. Realize it's probably going to take way longer than you think to achieve the goal that you want, and be able to keep that goal or keep making progress after that goal. So hopefully this was eye-opening, helpful. Appreciate you all, and I will see you guys in the next one.